Hey, good morning and good evening from Michael and Texas Jake. We're back at our stomping grounds in the reservoir, and it's just a gorgeous day. It's got to be in the mid 60s, maybe even high 60s, I don't know. But what a contrast from the snow that we had just a month ago. And if you've seen some videos before of mine, how the lake was just iced and the snow was out here, and now here we are. The grass will be here before you know it, and there's fishers out here, and everyone's enjoying this lovely weather. Again, I'm not here for the weather report. Just not so much a rebuttal, but a comment after watching a video. I think one of the regulars on YouTube was professing that how bad it is by contrast comparatively here in the United States to in the Philippines, meaning your money doesn't go as far as you think ours might. Well, by a comparison, things are much more expensive here in the United States than they are in the Philippines. So it's kind of similar to, they've made the minimum wage here $15 an hour. However, when they do that, everything goes up. And we have to live accordingly. I think what disturbs me, though, is that the mindset is that we as Western men that might be interested in a Filipino woman, because of the differences in our monies and how far it goes here versus how far it goes there, it seems that the thinking is that we have to, fund that, give you things. And I've heard this more than once, and now it's just been repeated, so I thought I would talk about that a little bit, that we have an obligation. Although LDR, we're here and you're there, we're interested. However, if we're interested enough, we would demonstrate that interest by giving an allowance. Here's the problem that I notice with something like that. Now, that might even be feasible, but what happens is that I and others, I'm sure, say, okay, we'll do that, and then come to find this person has several suitors, and they feel like, well, why don't we just capitalize on an opportunity here and start just having multiple, guys that are going to send me money like that. It becomes more of a business and less of an attraction or something that is, set in stone, and then you're going to just wind up going there and picking up your bride, your mail order bride or your LDR bride. But I'm going to say this, is that I think it's a little ludicrous, and it's even far-fetched to think that somebody in this country would supply or support somebody that they've never met long distance, And then if they do that, that support, you would hope, would be spent on the dream come true. And that is, if your goal is to come to the United States, then you would use those allowances or that support to make certain that is expedited as soon as possible, and not something that's long term. Because unfortunately, and it just seems odd to me that I would just fall into this twice, if it's not more common than it is uncommon. I'm no loser, and I'm not desperate. But again, I went by advertisement alone and thought I would reach out and look towards the Philippines, because there are some attractive women there, no doubt. But there's attractive women here too. And I'm sure that if I invited somebody to help pay their rent or help pay their expenses or on and on, that they would be lining up. And not just because it's me, but because that's just the way it goes, And I don't mean lining up and then next, and everyone's just got their hand out. I think that the one that would say, okay, if you're going to help me with all of those things, I want to be your woman. But when you're so far away from somebody, they're not a rock's throw or a short drive. They're 24 hours in airplane away. And to support somebody that is that far away from you, and not knowing the real truth of it, I believe that there is an organization that's affiliated with another person on the YouTube that advocates for their services, where they kind of spy on the person a little bit and find out where they're at or whatever. But you're not with that person 24/7, and you don't know their history on their telephone, and if they are in fact just have a chain of guys that they're looting, if you want to call it that, just because that's a common practice, in the Philippines. And I'm not broke. It's not like I can't do this or don't want to do it. The problem is that I don't want to do it and then find out later that what I'm doing is just a bad investment. I think anyone that's making an investment wants the return on that investment. He doesn't want to just, he's not like a gambler that can just throw the dice every time and it's high dollar. Then he would have to be a millionaire. And if that's your impression of all American citizens or Canadians or people, you have to understand that we're not all millionaires and we can just throw away money. And if we were millionaires, we don't want to throw away the money. We want it to have a return on the investment. And that's the only way that we want that to go down. Otherwise, it's just throwing good money after bad, and that's just out of the question. So for those that are listening to, money comparisons, what our $100 is to your peso, I know it's $48 or $50, 50 pesos per dollar. So that's quite a bit of money. Take that into consideration too if you are giving an allowance. And then also take into consideration that if she has a chain of men that are doing that for her, she's probably making more than you are in the United States. And it's just a scam. And that's their way of doing it. What's really troublesome for me is that people are doing that with zero conscience because to them it's a business. And it's just like anything. If you're selling products or you're selling goods, if you're in business, you do that with no conscience. You're making a profit, and that's what you do. See? But, you have to look at it like the way I see it sometimes too, or from both sides of the coin, is that we're looking at it like, if you go into the store and you buy something and you pay for it, and you're willing to do that, it's an exchange, goods for money. You want to know what you're getting. You want to know that you're getting good quality product for a fair price. It doesn't have to be ridiculous. You realize that people are in business to make money. But love is not a business. And if it is, or it's become one, with these people that are sending me advertisements to go on sites where I can, join them in masturbation sessions or whatever, it's not like that. And it's not worth it, for somebody to just think that everybody wants to do that or entertain that for a moment. If you're really looking for something long term and something from the heart and somebody that wants to build and grow with you, and if it is an older man, have all that child stuff behind you, you know what I mean? Because we're only here for a moment, it seems. Seems like yesterday sometimes I was only 20, and I'm quite a bit older than that. But I still don't feel that, these allowances that are expected because of what you make versus what maybe I do or what I can make in a short period of time. You have to up your game, ladies. And that don't mean just shake it more or lose more weight and pop it up into the air like you think all these Western women are doing to try to get somebody. They can with that as well, but it's the kind of men that they're going to get when they're doing that. That's stuff for the bedroom and for you and your husband. That's not something for the world to see. And those of you that are doing that on a regular basis, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, since, we're talking Christian, Phiapina or Christian women that are, just their standards and their morals and their belief system is a little stronger than what you think that it is here. I don't think I speak alone when I say this, is that you have to up your game. You got to bring more to the table than just that. and think that some rich American or Canadian or Australian or somebody is just going to fund, your life. I mean, they complain about it here in the United States about people that are, getting things for nothing, and not working or doing anything for it. So I say this to you: up your game. Come to the table with more than that. Know what it's going to cost to come to the United States, Canada, Australia, wherever you're going. And if it takes you a long time to save for that, well, it just takes you a long time. If you have this thinking, though, that I'm going to get him and him and him and run that game on people here in the United States, you're building a very sour reputation. And I'm going to tell you that being in business, and I work for very affluent people, you cannot do that repeatedly without having it affect your economy. And what I mean by that is people won't want to go there. And if they do, they're going to go there for that type of entertainment and only that. And then they're going to come home and leave you there. But if you want a husband, you want somebody to love you, to take care of you, to be with you, to hold you in his arms every day of his life and yours, to take care of you if you get sick, you have to up your game. You cannot come to the table with that little bitty dance and whatever and just this pity pot of we don't make as much as you make. Because that's the way the world is. There's people here in the United States that don't make what somebody else makes, but they don't go out and steal it. And if they do, they're known as criminals. And you stay away from that. So the girls in that country that are just sitting there with less and say it's not fair that I have so little and they have so much, so I'm going to play game on them. You keep doing that. And yeah, you'll eat today. You'll be all right for today. You and maybe some of yours. You might even get rich, in your country. But you're going to mess it up for somebody else. And the whole purpose of the mask wearing, the social distancing, that's because, not that you're walking around sick, that you're showing respect for your neighbor. And you're saying, I don't want to, if I have any germs that I want to infect you with, I'm sparing you of that. So it's a respect, and I just think that we have to work on that mutual respect for, those that you live around or that you're around. You cannot keep playing game on people and think that that's not going to affect somebody long term. And if it's just out of desperation or that's the way it is because it is that way there, then you have to understand that there's areas like that here in my area where I can go in that area and I could expect that I'm not either going to get hurt or that I'm not going to get robbed or that I'm not going to get swindled. There's places of business like that too. Car dealerships, hotels, whatever, People just don't get the value for their dollar or they get robbed. They do a lot of things. Guess what? People don't go in those neighborhoods. So in other words, it happens once, then they stay out if they survived it. So for those survivors of those that have been ripped off, swindled, scammed, or you have multiple boyfriends that are sending you money, and then that's how you or your kind feel is okay, I want you to know that it's not, and it's not attractive. You may be, your face, your wiggles, whatever, but that kind of treatment to others, just so that you can have a bowl of rice or you could feed your kid. Now, some people are going to say there's nothing wrong with that. But you understand this, that there's people that are criminals, we consider, that do that because they have a reason. They can't pay their bills. Their kid's crying and it's hungry. So they go out and they rob people, they steal. That's not the way. And if that's the only way or the only options you have, you better do something about it before it's too late. All right, that's Michael and TJ signing off. Take care. Do something right by your neighbor.